What's up, YouTube? Zachary Michaels here. I'm an actor, and this is An Actor Reacts. Today we'll be talking about vampires versus the Bronx. Let's discuss. Before we get started, if you're new to my channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Vampires vs. the Bronx is a comedy horror film that was released on Netflix October 2nd, 2020. It was directed by Oz Rodriguez, who wrote the film along with Blaise Hemingway. It was produced by SNL's Lorne Michaels, as well as Erin David, Bert Hamelinck, and Michael Sagol. The film follows a group of teenagers who are forced to protect their neighborhood in the Bronx when a gathering of vampires invades. It stars Jaden Michael, Gerald W. Jones III, Gregory Diaz IV, and Coco Jones. Happy Halloween, y'all. To celebrate, I wanted to review a Halloween-themed film. I didn't feel like watching like a full horror film, so I was looking through on Netflix to see if they had. Came across this film. It piqued my interest. I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. So let's get into the good, the bad, and I'll tell you my rating for this film. Okay, so my good. Now, like I said, I enjoyed this film. I thought it was just a fun little film to watch. It's kind of that family-friendly Halloween movie that anybody in the family can enjoy. Like, there's stuff in there for the kids and for the parents, for the grandparents. Like, anybody can find a little nugget of something that they like connect to and enjoy. And it's the kind of movie that like you know exactly what's going to happen at every single turn, but you still enjoy it. Like, that could maybe be looked at as a bad, like, because it's so predictable. But I like with some films, you just want to sit down and watch something that's technically new, like that you haven't seen before, but that feels familiar. And that's definitely this film. It's like that classic story of like the kids in the neighborhood going on this journey. Maybe they're like going on a treasure hunt or like trying to save their neighborhood, which they are in this film. It like makes me think of like Stranger Things or like the OA, or like even more classic films like something like an ET or like the Goonies, like any of those films where it's like kids on a journey riding their bikes around town. It gives you that. But I think also, to the film's credit, while it is like all those classic films and like a lot of the films that are out right now, I think it adds in enough new things and new like little tidbits that it's like working off the same template, but it doesn't feel like a direct copy. Like, it's the same journey that you always go on, but there's definitely differences and stuff to make this film unique. Let's see what else. Oh, like I enjoyed the main story of this, like the boys trying to save their neighborhood from gentrification, basically, and like that kind of metaphor of like the gentrification being vampires into these like predominantly minority areas and like sucking out the life and the culture. So I liked that kind of metaphor and just the journey that they were going on in the story. Um, Oh, and I like the representation of the Bronx. Now, I'm from upstate New York, but that's not quite like New York City, so I'm not like from the boroughs and stuff, but I know that the Bronx and all the other boroughs, they take a lot of pride in being where they're from, and like the BX, like there's a lot of pride in that. And I liked how this movie kind of represented that in like a realistic and comedic way. So I love the representation of the Bronx and the pride that the people in the Bronx have in it, especially towards the end and like one of the final scenes. You really get to see that like BX pride. So I enjoyed that. Let's see. Um, oh, and then I really like the cast. Like I said, you've seen many of these films before with like the kids trying to go out and do you save the city or whatever. But I liked seeing it with predominantly minority led cast. And you have some other films like this which are minority led, or you have like minority characters in the like main group, like Caleb in Stranger Things. But I liked seeing this one with the predominantly minority cast, because it never gets old. Representation matters. And then I just thought the kids were really good actors. I see a bright future, honestly, for all of them. There was Jaden Michael who plays Miguel. He's like the leader of the group, the one he discovers the vampires first, and he's not quite that confident, but you see him build and grow throughout the film, and really, the leader of the story, and he has to convince everybody and be courageous. And I thought he was a really charismatic kid. I did not believe him at any point in the film, which can be hard in this kind of campy film because it can be so over the top. But I thought he was really believable in the role. And the whole time I was like, I recognize this kid. I went and looked up on his IMDb, and he played for a number of years on What Would You Do? And like earlier in quarantine, I was binging all those What Would You Do episodes on YouTube. So I recognized him from that. And then also he just got cast as a young Colin Kaepernick in the Netflix series about Colin Kaepernick's life. So definitely big things on the horizon for him. He's like 17 now, so he's definitely got a super bright future ahead of him. Really good actor, super charismatic, and definitely gonna have a good career, I think. And then there is Gerald W. Jones as Bobby Carter, and Gregory Diaz the fourth as Luis Acosta. Now these two are like the good friends, the sidekicks to Miguel, and Bobby's like the rebellious one, kind of street smart. He's like the one who goes off the path in the film, but by the end he's gonna be right back there with his friends, fighting with them. He was really good, and then there was also the Luis character, who's like the typical nerdy guy in the group. The comedic relief. He has like asthma or whatever. He falls out, super like the scaredy cat of the group, and balances the other two out when they like start butting heads. He's that guy, really good, really funny, and again another one that's super believable in these roles. All three of these kids are believable, and I like the minority makeup of them. We have Miguel, who's like Afro Latino, which he's gonna be playing Colin Kaepernick. So like when I first saw him, I assumed he was black, but then in the movie I learned that he was Latino. So Afro Latino kid leading, and then we have the black best friend and the Hispanic best friend. So we have the two, like a full black kid, a full Hispanic kid, and then the mix of them in the lead. So I just thought that was cool to just see again because representation matters. And then there was also Coco Jones in the cast, who is there as Rita, like the older girl who's the love interest and joins them on the quest. And then by the end of the film, she's part of the group. I thought she was really good in the film too. It was cool to see her because I remember her from my Disney Channel days, and I forget what the movie was called, but she was in like a Disney Channel original film back in the day. Haven't seen much from her since that. And then recently she popped up again, and she's been like a meme the past couple months. And now she's in this film. So cool to see her like still working out here. I thought she was really good as that, sassy older girl that Miguel has a crush on. And then, other than Coco, too, there were some other people who popped up in this film who I was surprised to see. First and foremost, Mero, who, if you know, like Desus and Mero, they have their show on Showtime. I think they used to have a show on Vice, too. They've got their podcast, the Bodega Boys. They used to be on Charlemagne's show on MTV, Uncommon Sense. So, like, I'm pretty sure Meryl's from the Bronx, but it was just really cool to see him in this film because I was not expecting him at all, and I thought he did a really good job. He's plays Tony, the bodega owner. He's a bodega boy, but I thought he did really good, really natural actor. But honestly, it did kind of feel like he was just playing himself. Like I would not be surprised if they said he just like improvised all of his lines because they just seemed authentically Meryl, like that older dude who's gonna like make fun of you but cares about you. So shout out to him. Meryl did his thing in it. Zoe Saldana also popped up in there for a hot second. Didn't expect to see her. And then there was just a bunch of those other faces in the cast that like people that you've seen and stuff. You don't quite know their names, but like you definitely recognize their faces. So it was just cool to see this kind of cast come together, and I thought they all did a really good job. I'm pretty sure like one of the guys in there, I don't know his name, but he's in SNL, and then since finding out that Lorne Michaels produced this film, that definitely makes sense. There was also another well-known person in the cast that I didn't expect to see, but they're actually going to come up in my bad section, so we'll get to them in a second. And then some other quick things that I liked about this film. I thought it was paced really well. I think it's about 90 minutes, maybe a little less. But it doesn't feel too long or too short. It feels like the right amount of time to kind of tell the story. I thought that the makeup looked pretty good for the vampires, the special effects. I like the score and the soundtrack, the costuming, and honestly, the cinematography was pretty good too. Like, it wasn't anything like super amazing, but I liked the overall look of the film. Like, it gave me kind of like it was like modern kind of mockumentary, almost not the style, but like the visually how it looked mixed with like a dark Halloween style, and it just I don't know, it worked really well for the theme of the film, as well as like there's like Instagram bits, video bits. I thought it all looked really well, and that all worked for the film. But I think that's all I got for my good. I enjoyed this film, so now let's get into my bad. Okay, so the bad. Now, honestly, I don't have that much bad. This isn't like a perfect film by any means, but I did again enjoy it. But there are some things that I thought could have been better. One, again, like I said in my good, it is a little predictable, which I put in the bad too, because if you go into this movie looking for something different, you're not gonna get that. It's like paint by numbers almost, but there are a few little differences in it. But for the most part, there's no twists, there's no turns. You know exactly what's gonna happen, which can be boring. Even though I did enjoy this film, I'm just putting it here just in case you haven't seen the film yet, and just so you go in knowing what you're getting and you don't come out disappointed. Because then I think you'll be able to enjoy it more. But it's predictable, basic story that we've seen 100 times. Nothing they don't really add anything new to the conversation or new to the genre. It's just like I said, pretty paint by numbers. And then there's also like some cringe moments that come when like adults are writing for kids or teens. It's not too many or not too much, and none of it's like too cringe. But one of the ones that kind of stuck out to me was like, there was the character of Gloria, played by Imani Lewis. Now, Imani did her thing. I thought she was really good in this part. She's kind of this like social media obsessed girl. She's always like going live on her Instagram and like telling the gossip of the town or whatever, almost like she's the shade room in the Bronx. And that's not like she did a good job in the role. Like the role's a little stereotypical, like black girl from the Bronx. But I thought she did a really good job of it, of the role. But it just felt really like cringe. That was probably one of the most cringe moments in like that character. And then seeing her like just go live all the time and like, this is the gossip of the Bronx, and like that's like what older people think everyone under 30 is, just always going live on Instagram and like, this is social media. Yeah, I got 1.5k followers always watching me. Like that just felt real like, yeah, this is somebody out of touch trying to be young and hip and say, yeah, this is what the kids do all the time now. I'm going to put this in the film and it's going to seem real current. But other than stuff like that, there are a few other moments like that in the film, but for the most part, it's not too cringe, and even that's not terrible. And like I said, Imani did a pretty good job of the role and didn't make it like, it wasn't unbearable to watch. It was just a little like, oh gosh, I know who wrote this. Um, and then really my last bad would be my other like person who popped up in the cast that I wasn't expecting, and that's Method Man as Father Jackson. Now I like Method Man. He seems like a cool dude, great rapper. And I feel like I've seen him act in a couple other things, and like, you know, he's not winning any awards for his acting, but he does a passable job. But in this film, I don't know. It just did not work for me. I didn't believe him as like this Catholic priest who's like looking down on the boys and telling and being super judgmental, and I don't know, it wasn't believable for me at all. Like anytime he was on the screen, I was just like, yeah, the role never quite fit him for me. I would have rather seen it played by someone else who more so steps into that like authoritative priest role. Like Method Man just does not give me that. Maybe because I know him as Method Man, this like street rapper, that seeing him as like this studious priest it didn't feel right, like quoting all these Bible verses and stuff. I don't know. It wasn't believable to me. Like the shoe never quite fit for him, and it felt a little like that was one that felt a little cringe. And for the most part, everybody else in the cast and in the film kind of avoided that like over the top camp cringe thing, but other than Method Man. So that's probably the only one that felt miscast to me. But he's a decent actor. Just didn't quite fit this role, I don't think. But yeah, that's really all I got for my bad. The biggest thing is probably just it being super basic and predictable. But like I said, sometimes that's what you want in a film. So if that's what you want, then this is another good. But yeah, that's all I got on for my bad and my good. So let's get into my final thoughts, and I'll tell you my rating for this film. Vampires versus the Bronx. Now, this is a fun and sometimes funny, family friendly horror flick. It's familiar with a few little updates and nuggets to make it appeal to audiences in 2020. And it's like rounded out with a really solid cast, I think. I would definitely recommend this. You can watch this with your entire family of any age, or you can just watch it by yourself like I did, and I think you'll enjoy it as long as you don't go in expecting something brand new. Like I said, it's gonna hit all the marks that you expect, but honestly, I think that's part of the film's appeal. Just something like nice, simple, and familiar for you to watch. Definitely not gonna win any awards or anything, but I don't think a film like this is trying to. It's just something nice and fun to watch. Now my rating. I'd say I'd give this film probably a 7 out of 10, like a C, just like middle of the road. Nothing too crazy, but it is enjoyable. I think I would definitely watch this film again, maybe not like anytime soon. Maybe next year I'll like go on Netflix and watch it again cuz it is enjoyable, but it's again pretty paint by numbers. Um, but I think that's pretty much all I got on this film. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this if you've seen it before, or let me know if you plan on checking it out. Again, I'd recommend it. I think anybody can find something in it that they enjoy. But leave all that below in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Happy Halloween, y'all. Thanks for stopping by. See y'all next time.